Hey guys, Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. We're here at Toronto's first ever Bitcoin Expo speaking with Jeff Berwick of the $Vigilante.com. Jeff, thank you very much for taking some time to speak with us today at Press for Truth.
Oh, thank you.
So today I'd like to talk a little bit about the philosophies of anarchism. You're one of the most prominent anarchists I know, so I'd like to discuss this with you. And I'd like to start it off by getting your views on, is government a necessary evil?
Oh, it's definitely an unnecessary evil. If you really, maybe in the past, there's a possibility that we kind of did need something like that in a transitionary period. I don't think so, but possibly. But if you look at all the destruction that government has done, in the 20th century, over 240 million people were killed by their own government. That's not even including the wars. If you include the wars, we're talking like a 500 million people killed through statist events. What does government really provide us, right? Most people know it as just taking most of your money every year, half your money, and supposedly what we get for it are roads, which is not a very high-tech thing. I think we can figure out how to do roads on our own, and they say policing, but nowadays, especially as these governments are so indebted now, you're really seeing the police state come into effect, and most people, when they see a cop, they get scared. They don't feel like they're protected, and that's the smart thing to do because they're going around just accosting people, extorting them for money. So, yeah, I think the reason that people think that we need government is because they've been literally brainwashed their entire life. So the fact that people go to 12 years of government education is ludicrous. And of course in the US they do the Pledge of Allegiance and they talk just constantly talking about the state and how good it is and things like that. And Vladimir Lenin said that if you give me your child for 4 years, the seed of plant will never be uprooted. And that's what people get for 12 years now. And then they turn on the news at night, and a lot of the news is all status-based news, mostly propaganda. It's called TV programming for a reason. So people, I think, have been fooled. But thanks to the internet now, I think people are waking up that there is other options to life than having this horrible, violent, thieving ruler.
Well, there seems to be a bit of a misconception about what it actually means. Some people are under the understanding that it means no rules and that it means total chaos and could descend into violence. What would you say to those people to kind of straighten them out?
Yeah, well, that gets confused a lot. The word anarchy or anarchism is a Greek word, and it means an, without, and archy, a ruler. It doesn't mean no rules, it means no ruler. The general philosophy is I don't want someone to violently rule me, to impose things on me that I didn't agree to. And that's what a government is. And the other side of it is that the government and media have been trying to skew that word for a century now. So whenever there's a riot or someone breaks a Starbucks window, they go, that's anarchy, that's anarchist. The reason they do that is because they don't want people to understand what anarchy is, because if a lot of people understood what it was, they wouldn't want government anymore. So they try to always all these words, things like liberal, that used to mean libertarian hundreds of years ago. Now it means you like to steal money from people and give it to other people and do welfare. So all these words get skewed over time, even capitalism, and that's, I call myself a narco-capitalist. The word capitalism has been totally skewed over time. People think what's in the US today is capitalism. It's not even close to capitalism. Capitalism doesn't have a central bank. Capitalism doesn't have taxes. It doesn't have regulations. Capitalism is just voluntary transactions. And what they have in the US today, I call capitalism. But it's sad that so many people are confused and they think, oh, that's free markets in the US, when it's one of the least free market countries on earth.
So is it more about getting away from the current system of control that we're currently operating under, or is it also about moving into something new, and what might that new thing be?
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about that lately. I think in the old days, a lot of the real anarchists, they would say, we have to one day stand up and fight. They're pushing us so far to all these taxes, regulations, rules. One day we're going to have to stand up and fight. And I think thanks to the internet, and thanks to things like Bitcoin, which is going to completely be an evolution in money and banking, we can just move beyond that system and just, if everyone started using Bitcoin today, all the central banks would collapse the next day and they'd just be gone. So we don't have to do anything violent about it, and that's the beautiful thing, and that's why it's so funny that a lot of people say anarchists are violent, and it's the true meaning of an anarchist is you're a peaceful person. The one principle you have is the non-aggression principle. You just want no one to aggress against anyone else, and that's really all you want, and of course that's what government does. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how these words and how these things get skewed and used.
Yeah, it is. It often does come down to just the use of force by government, and that's essentially what the issues are, and what anarchists, the problem anarchists have with government, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes, yes. And even taxation is use of force. They're saying, you owe us this money for some social contract that you never signed, and if you don't give it to us, then we're going to kidnap you and put you in a cage, and if you try to escape, we're going to kill you. So that's pretty violent.
What sort of things do you think need to happen in the coming months and years to get this movement on track to where it needs to be?
It's happening like crazy right now. I've been involved sort of in this ideology for about a decade, and even 10 years ago, hardly anyone knew what the word libertarian even was. And that word has become almost mainstream now. We've seen people like Ron Paul. And once you become libertarian, it's basically the difference between a minarchist, which is like a real small government person, and an anarchist is 6 months. Because once you start to understand, well, we got rid of 90% of the government and everything's so much better now, why not just get rid of the last 10% too? So that's growing, and at the same time, all these old systems are dying. These systems are very anachronistic. It's crazy. It's so centrally planned. A lot of people understand. Most people would look at the Soviet Union and say, "Well, I can understand why that collapsed. It was all centrally planned. There was no market. The market couldn't function." Well, the U.S. is very similar to that today. It's a lot of central planning, central banks, and all the debt that they're building up now is it's going to collapse on its own. And so, will we have anarchy once it collapses? I don't know. It's possible that people will just build up another government. They seem to have these ideas, but we're seeing a massive growth in both libertarianism and anarchism, and people understanding what those things are. And it was only a couple years ago, if I was at a conference and I said I was an anarchist, you'd see a lot of people in the crowd like shaking their heads and stuff like that. And now when I say it, a lot of people like clap, and even the other people on a panel with me, if they're not an anarchist, they'll actually apologize to me. They'll say, "I'm sorry, I'm not an anarchist." 5 years ago, they'd be like, "You anarchists are crazy." There's a massive shift going on.
Well, that's just it. It seems that there is a huge awakening taking place, and just as much as the government is ramping up their efforts to control the people, it seems like there's an equal massive awakening happening, and we're almost at that fork in the road, if you will, where something must be done now in order to ensure the future for the people. Would you agree? Is that where we're at?
I think it's very important that these ideas keep spreading for sure, and I think the internet's playing a huge role in doing that. I think I was just saying in my presentation here that I think the next 5 to 10 years will be incredibly important, whether we go towards human freedom or complete tyranny. It could go either way at this point, but I think it's going to go towards freedom. You're seeing it all the time, even what just happened with that ranch in the U.S. a couple days ago. There was a huge uproar over the internet. People started showing up because they heard about it through the internet, and the government backed off. We're starting to see that more and more. You didn't see that in Waco. They just came in there with their tanks and blew up kids for no reason. But nowadays with the internet, they can't do those things.
Perhaps a bit of a precedent has been set, and they're starting to realize that the old tactics and the ways of doing things are no longer working for them. So maybe they're going to switch their tactics up to try to gain control again, right?
Yeah, I don't think they can. The closest that they could is to have maybe Rand Paul become the next president of the U.S. and people really get into this libertarian idea. That would be something to move in that direction. But the state as it currently is cannot survive. It's all of them are too indebted. They have massive amounts of debt. They're going to collapse. The fiat currencies are going to collapse. And once those happen, they're really left with nothing. So it's going to collapse on its own. It's going to be interesting to see how it happens. And it's going to be very dangerous. It's going to be... People are not going to believe what's going to happen in the next decade, in my opinion. I think it'll be shocking to most people. It's going to be a complete paradigm shift, a complete change in how the entire world works. And we're seeing it all the time now. We're seeing things like Russia, what they're doing, China, Syria. That was interesting because the U.S. government really wanted to go and attack Syria, and the people on the internet just went no, and they couldn't. You look at the Congress, their approval rating is in the single digits. I think it's just their friends and family who approve of them. They're just losing. Like Barack Obama's at all-time lows of approval right now. They're just losing and losing because people are waking up that all they're doing is lying and screwing things up and making a mess of the economy, and they're not doing anything positive. It's actually not possible for them to do anything positive.
Yeah, no doubt. The collapse is absolutely inevitable. I often liken it to, the pyramidal structure of a system. And when enough people in the base of that thing step outside of that system, the inevitable thing to happen is a huge crash. And I think that's a lot about what it's all about, is global non-compliance and just simply saying, I'm not going to take part in this system. Would you say that's something is a good way to focus on moving us in the right direction, just having no part to do with it anymore?
Yeah, I think the more that people do that, I'd love it to see that people wake up and everyone just say tomorrow we're not going to pay taxes anymore, and the government will be gone overnight. But for some reason, people are scared to. Well, I understand why they're scared, because if you're one of the people that they go after, they're going to come after you hard. Although they say taxation is voluntary, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I wish people would wake up and do these sort of things, but I think we're seeing things change, things like Bitcoin. So a lot of people are becoming more agorist. They're trying to trade outside of the systems, the current systems. A lot of people, like myself, have just left some of these countries, and a lot of the wealth-producing people have left. And I think that will happen more and more, especially as tax rates increase. And in France, they talked about 100% tax rate. They almost went full commie. And all the top guys, Gerard Depardieu, he was a Russian the next day. That's what happened in Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Is the governments became so oppressive that the top producing people all just left and they went on strike. And we're seeing that happen in a lot of places. I'm from Canada originally, and I haven't lived here in 15 years. I haven't paid Canadian tax in nearly 10 years, all legally, because if you don't live here, you don't have to pay taxes. So I've taken myself out from this system, and I know a lot of other people have done that as well, and I think that's part of the way. But I think even if people didn't do any of that, the government's going to collapse all on its own. It's gone too far with all the debt now, and we're going to see currencies collapse and governments basically collapse over the next decade.
No doubt. It's absolutely inevitable, and it's a fascinating topic. Thanks for talking to us. Where can people go? What are the links? Where can people go to learn more from you?
Sure, just go to $vigilante.com, and we have a free blog there. We write every day on these sort of topics. And if you're interested in anarchy, just go to anarchast.com, and that's where we have a video podcast and I interview anarchists.
All right. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.